Hi everybody and welcome back to Traveling Cheddar. In this video we'll see how I retired to Thailand, how easy it was, how cheap it was and how quick a process it was for me. It really involved coming here on a 2-month tourist visa. Then once in Thailand, I used an agent to get me through the rest of the retirement application process. I'll break this video down into four main parts. The first is really getting your house in order before you do anything else, before you start the application process. Then secondly, I'll go through the online application process itself. Thirdly, I'll just give you some tips and thoughts of things to do when you land here. And fourthly, the most important part really, how to find an agent once you're here to help you through the rest of the retirement application process. Okay, so let's talk about getting your house in order. What do we actually mean before you do anything else? So, first things are look at your driving license and your passport and make sure that you've got a number of years left on both of those documents, not just the minimum that you need to get you through the retirement visa process. It's much easier to sort these things out whilst you're at home than it is from here. Even if you don't intend to drive over here, I'd recommend bringing a driving license over here so that you've got another form of identification. Let's talk about your phone, how much we rely on our phones. Back it up before you come here. If you lose your phone whilst you're here, you can simply buy another one, restore it from the cloud, and you're back to where you started. And talking about resilience, back up whatever you can from your phone onto your laptop. So, for example, if you do mobile banking on an app in your phone, make sure you can also use online banking on your laptop through a website or whatever. It's always useful to think about what would happen if I lost my phone. You want to back up as many of the important documents or things that you use on your phone onto your laptop. If you lose one, you still have the other. One really important thing I'd say is to finish up your business and sort out your finances before you come over to Thailand. Um, I've met one person who severely regrets not having done so. From here, he's been trying to sort out his finances with his home account, moving money between different accounts, trying to do some major investments, and he's found it very difficult to do from Thailand, dealing with your overseas bank back home. It is much easier to do it before you come here. He finds it so problematic that he said he's going to go home for a month to sort out what he should have sorted out before he got here. Um, Everybody nowadays has mobile banking, more or less. I've met one person who doesn't over here, old school, still likes to go into a bank and physically deal with people. That's extremely difficult over here. If you don't have mobile banking, make sure you're familiar with it before you come over here. Again, talking about banking, inform your bank that you're going to be over in Thailand and probably traveling around Asia so they don't start blocking your account just because they see something which is unusual activity for you. Make sure that you've got different ways of contacting people back home. Don't rely on just your phone. One of the first things you will probably do when you land here is get yourself a Thai SIM card. And unless you want to pay extortionate roaming fees, you probably won't use your UK number. So make sure that you can communicate with people through email or WhatsApp or some other method other than just your UK phone number. Now, before you start the online process, a couple of the other things that you'll need to do is you'll need to book your flight and your accommodation. It sounds a little like putting the cart before the horse, but you need confirmation of your flight and your accommodation for the 2 months to cover the period of the tourist visa, which you will apply for first. Now, your flight, you only need a one-way flight to Thailand because you don't intend to go home. But You're coming here on a tourist visa. So when you land at the airport to get through immigration, you need to demonstrate that you have an exit flight out of Thailand. In my case, I simply booked the cheapest flight out of Thailand, which was to Cambodia. It cost me about £35. I had no intention of using it, but you will need it when you land to demonstrate that you intend to leave. You need to book your accommodation so that you have proof of accommodation when you land. So, if you're going to book accommodation for 2 months, if you're not sure whether you're actually going to stay there very long, either A, make sure it's extremely cheap, so if you move on, you haven't lost very much money, or B, look at the cancellation policy on that accommodation so that if you don't want to stay there for the whole 2 months, then you might be able to cancel part way through your accommodation contract. Okay, so let's talk about the online application process for your initial 2 month tourist visa. First of all, make sure you use the correct website. By the correct website, I mean this one. It's the Thai government official website for your application. When you do a Google search for visa applications for Thailand, a number of different websites will show up. Some of them will be sponsored ads, and they will offer to facilitate the process for you. If that's what you want to do, then fine. But most of them, probably all of them, will be charging you for assisting you in that process when really there is no benefit whatsoever. So make sure you use the Thai government website for your application. By all means, use some of these other websites to gather useful information, but make sure you apply in the correct place. Now, many of the questions in the online application are very straightforward. Just supply the information that they ask for. There's a few questions which you'll find are completely irrelevant to you. They're not applicable. But nonetheless, you still have to answer them and provide some documents in the placeholder that it asks for. So, for example, in my case, one of the questions was, who is your sponsor in Thailand? That was completely irrelevant to me. I'm just coming here on a 2 month tourist visa. I don't need a sponsor. But I still have to link a document into that placeholder. So I simply wrote down the words not applicable in a text editor, screenshot that, and dropped that document with the words not applicable into the placeholder. It means you've answered the question and it'll allow you to move on. When you start the process, the online application process, you have a couple of weeks to complete the process. You don't need to do it all in one sitting. You can just save your progress as you go through. Once you get to the end, you'll submit the application and you'll be taken to a paywall to pay the fee, the application fee. I think in my case, it was around about £35 UK pounds. On the website, I think it says allow up to 15 days for the application to be processed. I think mine was processed in around about 5 days. Um, it will change over time. Once the application has been processed by the Thai authorities, then they will send you an email with a PDF document, which is your e-visa. Keep that somewhere handy on your phone as a saved document and make sure you print it out along with any other important documents that you will need when you travel. Just assume that your phone battery will die. Make sure you have a printout of everything that you need to travel. Okay, so by this point, you're pretty much good to go and you're off. You're heading to Bangkok. And a couple of things just to think about once you're actually landing at the airport. First of all, turn off your phone. When I first landed here, I left my phone on, still had my UK SIM card in there, and I got lots of text messages from people back home, and I paid some extortionate roaming fees. Just turn your phone off. Get a Thai SIM card at the airport. It's about the same price as you'll pay in town, but it means you can get up and running before you even leave the airport. They'll insert the SIM for you, everything. Fairly cheap monthly deals here. Um, Once you've got a SIM, there's probably some useful apps that you want to download fairly straight away. Certainly I did. I downloaded the Bolt app, which is ideal just for booking taxis, getting around the place. I also downloaded Wise, which is just a useful application for moving money around internationally. Some people use Revolut and things like that, but I downloaded Wise and I found it very good. You might want to download Line. Line is a just another communication app, something like WhatsApp, uh, but most Thai people use Line and they want to communicate via Line rather than WhatsApp. WhatsApp is still a little popular, particularly with Thai people who are going to interact with tourists, but Line is by far the more popular app of the two. Okay, you're here. You've got to your accommodation and you're all settled. You've got your 2 month tourist visa. Now you need to turn that into a 1 year retirement visa. First thing you need to do is to find yourself an agent, a good agent. By good, I mean somebody who's been recommended to you by somebody that you trust. So you may already know people who have traveled here on a tourist visa and turned it into a retirement visa through an agent. Ask them their experiences. If not, whilst you're here, literally you can just simply walk into a bar where expats gather and ask a few of them what agent they used and how they found them. Most people here on a retirement visa will have done it this way round and they will know an agent. Find one that a number of different people have used and have good stories about. In my case, I used this agent. He is at the bottom of Soy 6 in Pattaya along Beach Road, and I have found him to be absolutely wonderful. He was recommended to me by others, and he has been ever so helpful in all my dealings with Thai authorities, but especially in taking me through the retirement visa process. So once you've found an agent that you're happy with, then what's the process? You'll go to meet the agent in their office, probably, and you'll hand over your passport and they will take a copy of your 2 month tourist visa. Then they will pretty much do all of the hard work for you. My agent opened up my bank account for me. So that involved one of his staff picking me up from my hotel, taking me to the bank, and the joy of using an agent to go through that process is when you get to a bank, sometimes there's a big long queue and you would be sat there for quite a while to get to the front of it. If you're with an agent, you go straight to the front of the queue. All of the paperwork for your bank account application is already completed, just awaiting your signature. You will sign a document a number of times in a number of places, push a few buttons, and within about 20 minutes, I left the bank with my Thai bank account opened. I had my ATM card, I had my bank book. Now, when you've done your research on getting the retirement visa over here, you will be aware that you need to have 800,000 baht in the bank account to be able to get your retirement visa. If you're using an agent, they will facilitate that 800,000 baht balance for you. So once you have your Thai bank account sorted, um, the next stage really will involve your agent giving you a call at some point to arrange for you to go to the immigration office. Now, if you have seen the immigration office in the city where I live, when you get there, you will notice that there's many, many people there, and they will be sitting in a queue probably for the whole of the day. It will be not untypical for them to spend 6 or 7 hours queuing through the day to move through the process of filling out forms, etc. Now, because I arrived at the immigration centre with my agent, I spent probably less than 20 minutes going through the whole process. Being there with an agent is absolutely worth its weight in gold. Now, that whole application process, although you are not greatly involved in it, you will spend only a small amount of your time opening the bank account, dealing with the immigration office, etc. The whole process can take maybe 4 weeks, maybe up to five. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you have the 2 month extended tourist visa when you first land. Because if you just land on a 30-day arrival visa, that's not enough time to have all the paperwork sorted out. That's the importance of getting the original 2 month tourist visa. Once your application process is completed, your agent will call you, invite you back to the office. You'll collect your passport. It will have a stamp in there for, in the first year, it's actually 15 months worth of a retirement visa, and that will be stamped into your passport. And remember, if you're here on a retirement visa, you need to report to immigration every 90 days. That's one of the rules. If you're going through an agent, the agent will quite often do that 90-day reporting for you. Simply go back to the agent, give them your passport when your 90-day reporting is due. They will handle that for you and give you your passport back within a few days. Now, how much does this service cost if you're using an agent? It depends precisely what you want. I wanted a multiple entry visa, which means I can come and go from Thailand as I like through the year, as many times as I want. And so, depending precisely what you want, in the first year, you can expect for the agent to set up your bank account, take you through the whole retirement visa process, anywhere around about, say, 800 UK pounds. That kind of order, depending who you use. Subsequent years are cheaper. There's not quite as much effort involved in renewing your retirement visa, so you'll pay a little less in subsequent years. But that's a kind of guide as to what you can expect to pay an agent. I hope you found that useful. Uh, I think this process works very well for most people. Most people I've met over here have used the same process and it's worked very well for them. If you do find it useful, fantastic. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like. Anyway, that's all from me. Bye for now.